President Obama is sending thousands of U.S. troops to West Africa to fight the outbreak of Ebola. They'll construct treatment centers and provide medical training to healthcare workers in local communities. But is it really a good idea to send soldiers to provide this sort of aid? Here are 3 reasons why militarizing humanitarian aid is a very bad idea. Humanitarian aid must be perceived as neutral and not driven by political or military objectives. Using the military in a humanitarian crisis works against that and potentially instigates further unrest. Attacks against humanitarian personnel have been rising over the past decade precisely because of a perceived blurring of humanitarian, political, and military goals. And our track record in Africa warrants such skepticism. Over the past 6 years, the U.S. military has expanded its troop presence in Africa via humanitarian missions that are specifically designed to establish points of entry for future military missions. Local communities face a hell of a bind. If they don't accept help from the military, they run the risk of losing out on much-needed humanitarian aid. That erodes the trust needed to establish a working relationship between aid workers and local communities. Militarized aid is often backed by massive budgets. The Department of Defense has already allocated $1 billion to fight Ebola. The pressure to spend massive amounts is often coupled with pressure to achieve short-term political goals. That in turn translates into ineffective use of funds. Many politicians who support militarized aid claim that the military is the only institution capable of handling the humanitarian crisis at hand. If this is true, and too often it is, it highlights the neglect of civilian-led programs that are more likely to actually get the job done. By constantly relying on the military for humanitarian efforts, we're stifling efforts to grow civilian-led organizations that can handle the complicated logistics necessary to address large-scale humanitarian crises.